gonna go over the concept of a pinnable versus an unpinnable leg. You can also call it a bottom and a top leg. So when we're talking about different grips for breaking on heel hook mechanics, people can get really lost in trying to figure out which one would be the best. You know, we have just regular heel hook mechanics like this, where we're gripping the foot and we have it on our wristwatch area. We could also go gable grip, we could go butterfly, we could go S grip if you really want to get a bite down on the shin. I don't recommend this one as it's not very tight, but regardless, we can do all of those. And then we can also start going for these enhanced grips. A lot of people like to go to these reverse figure fours. They like to go to these folded arm grips, different ones like this. So I'm gonna give you a rule that's gonna help you figure out which ones you should use at which time. So while we're on a hip and I have the ability to pin Juice's leg, you can see I can put body weight on the leg, right? So it's a pinnable leg. It's a bottom side leg. This means that the standard grips are sufficient in this position. Yes, I can move to these grips here, but the more that I move to these grips, usually I have to dig even harder and put my stomach to the ground. And if I slip, then this hand is further away to save me with an Achilles, and Juice can come up and take my back if I mess up, right? So maybe if it's sweaty, the guy greased, whatever, in a competition, if that happens, then you're gonna be really screwed because you tried to dig too hard for one that you don't necessarily need in this position if you have good mechanics with the standard grips. So when we have standard grips, the reason we can use standard grips here and we don't necessarily need those enhanced grips or have to risk digging for them and getting our back taken is because I can pin the foot. We talked about this in a previous video. When I'm able to pin the foot, it makes it much tighter and I can break, right? I can break much easier on Juice's legs than if I didn't. I'd have the ability to pin the foot and fold it over itself, right? I'm folding his toes in towards my rib cage and then I'm breaking the heel over it like a piece of paper tearing. So when we get to this position, it's probably a good idea to just go with standard grips. They're quicker, they offer less exposure of your back to your partner, and you don't really need the enhanced grips because if you have the ability and the good mechanics to pin the foot, you'll have sufficient breaking pressure to tap your opponent. So the problem comes in where if the heel, when I go to apply the heel hook, if I didn't pin it correctly, or maybe it was in transition and Juice starts turning this way, now it's a top side leg. I don't have the ability to put enough pressure to fold the foot into myself anymore and break the heel over it. So if I go here, yes, if you have very good mechanics, you can finish the person, but what's probably suggested is you move to those enhanced grips. Because one, there's not as much risk of back exposure because he's not right on top of me. He's not imminently on top of me or able to move to my back. He's looking away. But the other reason is that I can't necessarily get that good fold of the foot. So what we'd like to do is create that through our grips. So when there's a top side leg, we'd like to actually start moving to these reverse figure four or folded arm grips where we can turn and move our body over and really get strong breaks. So the rule of thumb would be if I have a bottom side leg, then I can fold the foot underneath myself and I can break easily in this direction and I can just use standard grips. But if it gets to a point where his leg is on top of me, then I'd like to move to these enhanced grips. I have more time because I don't have to put my back facing my partner. I don't have to risk that. And I need the extra horsepower in these cases to actually finish him, right? So a good scenario where we could use enhanced grips, for example, is if Juice had me in a heel hook, right? He puts an ashigarami on me. He's got his foot inside. He's got a good ashigarami. I take this off. I sit out on his foot. Now I bring my leg inside. I pull over, and I'm starting to counter him by going into a mutual ashi position where it's basically the 50-50 of outside heel hooks. So now he has an outside heel hook on me, and I have one on him, but mine is the top side. His is the bottom side. So when he has the top side, he's digging for my heel. He's got my heel already. I'd like to try to make sure that I can also compete in this heel hook shootout by grabbing the enhanced grip and finishing this way. Okay? So this is just another example of a top side leg, just to show you a scenario where you might need it. Let me know what you think.